Win. What's important now? Hi, I'm Jed Herne, and this is Daily Writing Advice. So, I'm gearing up to launch Fires of the Dead, which is my debut fantasy novella, on September the 20th, which is only a few days from when this episode comes out. And I'm super excited for this, but it has been a massive learning curve for this project because I've decided to do this down the self-published route. So I'm taking care of all the cover design, which I did myself for this book, all of the publication, getting it to distributors, putting it up on Amazon, writing all the blurb copy. It's a big process, as you can imagine. And it's been so much fun, but there's been a lot of important things that I've learned from it. And one in particular is this idea of win. What's important now? Because when you know that there's a stage where you're going to have to design the audiobook cover, and when you're going to have to record that audiobook, and you know there's a stage where you're going to have to write the blurb on Amazon, and you're going to have to distribute the book to retailers, it's easy to get overwhelmed and it's easy to jump ahead of where you actually should be in the process. So for example, with this book, as I have talked about in a previous episode, I was so eager to get a paperback copy of it, I just really wanted to hold a copy of my book, that I probably rushed and had that printed way too soon. And as a result, there were errors in it that I had to fix. It wasn't a massive issue because they were only tiny little typos, but it still meant that I had to print another copy of the book. If instead I'd asked myself what's important now, win for short, I would have been able to remove that time wasting jumping ahead and instead just focus on making sure that I had a really solid edited manuscript before I moved into that next phase of the project. And wherever you're at in your writing journey, I think this idea of win, what's important now, is so critical because if you're writing your first draft, it's easy to get distracted with thinking about who am I going to try to publish this with? What's the cover going to look like? Oh, maybe I should design the cover now, even though I'm only a quarter of the way into the book. And as you can tell, that's kind of a silly idea because it's going to distract you from what's important at the moment, which is writing that first draft, getting the revisions in, making that second draft better, making the third draft better, sending it to other people, getting their feedback, improving your story. And only then, once you have a final polished manuscript, then you can start to think about, am I going to publish this myself? Am I going to try to go down the traditional route? Am I going to, what's the cover design going to look like? Who should I use for the audiobook? Should I have an audiobook? If you think too far ahead at any stage in the process, it might get you really overwhelmed. And I know that for me, that's happened sometimes. So my message to myself and hopefully to you is that wherever you're at in the writing process of your current project, focus on what's important now. Win. Focus on the most critical thing that you can be doing at this moment. And don't get distracted by all the potential things that you need to do in the future. Obviously, consider those and plan for those and have that suitable long-term mindset with things, but don't get distracted by things that are too far ahead of where you are at the moment. And that is our episode. I have been Jed Herne, and this has been Daily Writing Advice. Thank you so much for being part of this episode. And if you would like to sample a story set in the world of Fires of the Dead, which is my upcoming fantasy novella, you can go to jedherne.com/fires, and I'll have the link to that in the notes below, and you can read a free prequel story set in the world of Fires of the Dead. The prequel story is called Ascendant Flames, and it's about a young magician who is recruited into a criminal gang who becomes overwhelmed and enamored with her own power and starts to question, what is it worth sacrificing to become the person that she wants to be? So if you want to check that out, go to jedherne.com/fires, link in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. Go write extraordinary stories. See you next time.